tuned in to Athletics LLC with Lamar, Lucious, Big League Chew, and my man Clyde. You're about to be schooled in all things track and field. This is experience.
Yes, sir.
We are talking past, present, future. Y'all listen up. Let's go.
Happy Athletics LLC Day, everyone. I don't know how we got here so quickly, but we're here. Here we go again, week in, week out. So, hello, everyone. Middle of season 2. Got some topics to cover here regarding to track and field, but outside of track and field. And that's the fun part about what we do, is just kind of give you some insight and maybe some never to be heard, seen, told things about the things that we do in track and field off the oval. So joining us as always is Clyde. How are you today, sir? No?
No? No, Clyde?
Hi, how are you today, sir?
Here we go again.
Okay, say it again, Clyde.
All right, Lamar.
Ohana
Huffins. I know, he's playing with something.
Ohana.
That's not aloha, sir. But
I know it isn't.
Too.
I know what Ohana means. Ohana means family.
I know, so it's not a greeting.
You know, listen, I knew what I was saying. You don't have to clown me.
Sir Lucious,
I just lost in space, right?
I know.
Clyde, can you hear us?
Nope. No, Clyde. Good evening, Sir Lucious.
I know.
Good evening. How is everyone doing today?
Oh my goodness.
Oh, okay.
We're off to a stellar start.
I know.
The look on his face is priceless, though, isn't it?
So it's par for my week. I don't know about everybody else's week. We will continue and see if we can get him clued in. He's got some speaker issues. He can't hear us. So we will keep the ball rolling. This is always the entertaining part for everyone, I feel like. We always get the most feedback on these parts. So with that being said, you know, we a little bit of a lull in the actual competition of track and field right now, because Diamond League gearing up for their finals and their championships and whatnot. And so with that being said, you know, we've got Diamond League championships coming up. We just had the Olympic championships, you know, kind of what we heard from the Olympics going into it in regards to mental health. This is a topic that we wanted to address last week. We wanted to make sure that we gave Lamar his time to address the things that he wanted to address. With all that we saw outside of track and field, inside of track and field and whatnot, what are some thoughts about mental health, and where do you stand in regards to athletes and mental health and the sport that they participate in?
Would you like to go first, Lamar?
Sure.
Okay.
Nothing serious.
You know,
we can hear you now, sir.
we can hear you now. I guess I want to start with this. I think that this generation is very much misunderstood in some regards. Yes, they do seem to be about clout and quote unquote their brand, but I also think that there's a great number of people, number of young people in the sporting world right now who are suffering because they realize the never satiated beast that is social media. And you want to do certain things and get some attention, but what happens almost immediately is that some attention becomes cancel culture. Cancel culture. And then it just becomes like, how bad can we trash this person? You know, Sha'Carri Richardson is a perfect example of how fast things can go left. Simone Biles, Naomi Osaka, and here most recently, I think the thing I wanted to bring to light was I watched the video of Sydney McLaughlin, and I just wanted to hug her, because here's somebody who, after having made her second Olympic team and winning the Olympic trials, and after having broken the world record the first time, but immediately before she went to her second Olympics, was so emotionally distraught that she felt like she needed to basically make a video for herself that she would then play later, just to speak to the fact that, like, all she really wants is to be respected as the athlete that she is, and not necessarily all the clout. She said it, like, she doesn't want the fame. She wants to be respected. And I get it. And I think that a lot of people are struggling with the combative nature in your head between being mentally tough and having not mental issues, but having mental health issues, right? Like, there's a certain amount of toughness required to be an athlete. But in today's world, where everything you do is on social media and then opined upon, I think you can go from mentally tough to having mental health issues in 2 days.
And I think you speak to an important piece of this is when you talk about the social media aspect of it. And social media makes superheroes out of people, and then within minutes, they're bums. You know, they can't hide from it. It's impossible to hide from it. And I think that the mental health aspect of not just track and field, but athletics as a whole, is life as a whole, is huge. And I don't think people understand that. I don't think people understand that it's okay to reach out and get help. I mean, I'm the old guy on the screen. I'll say that before one of you guys do. And in my era, it wasn't kosher. It wasn't cool. It wasn't a thing that a man did. A man didn't go get help. You just manned up and you figured it out, you know? And, you know, I will tell you, you know, as a child, as a teenager, as an adult, you know, there were times when I had serious doubts about myself and what I could do and how I could do. And I think that the first thing that needs to happen is, one, there's got to find a way to be a balance with the social media nonsense, because again, it makes them superheroes, and then a day later they're a bum. And somehow it's got to be said that it's okay to talk to somebody. It's okay to get the help that you need. That doesn't make you weak. It makes you smart. If you're smart enough to go get the help, you know, don't be afraid to cry out for help. And a lot of things, like a lot of these athletes and some of the antics they're doing, they are crying out for help. There's no doubt about that in my mind. And so when we talk about the mental health piece of this, it's real. And I think the biggest mistake we can ever make as humans is expecting someone to handle something the way that we do. And just because you're tough enough to get through something doesn't mean somebody else is.
I think society in general, we are living through a very interesting time in our world and in culture as a whole. I'm a millennial by definition, right? My generation literally created social media. Facebook came out when I was in college. Twitter to follow, Instagram to follow. So I'm the last generation who didn't grow up with social media. And I think it's incredibly strange nowadays to be a parent or to be a coach or to be in a position of authority over people when you're having to raise these people who have grown up completely seeking their validation from strangers that they don't know. And that's the brutal truth of social media. It's an amazing, tool for disseminating information. At the end of the day, it has changed the world more positively than negatively, but the negative side is huge and it's dramatic and it's violent and it causes a lot of harm for people who don't know how to deal with that level of engagement. And because you can make fast money that way, because you can make fast friends that way, because you can get strangers to care about your overly meaningless life because of social media, people validate and put way too much of themselves in their invisible imaginary friends. And this is the first generation of parents and coaches who are having to deal with that. I think 20 years from now, people will be a lot better at it. But the truth of the matter is, for the most part, people are making this shit up as they go. And some people have found a way to navigate it well. Some people have not. You can look at any example you want. Pro sports, amateur sports, college sports. Take NBA basketball is a great example. LeBron James, for the most part, is a very savvy, intelligent, professional athlete that has used social media to his favor. He says what he wants to say, he gets in, he gets out, it's fine. Kevin Durant has so many problems with social media, he had to create a fake burner account so he could talk trash back to the people, the random strangers who were talking to him.
Several of those.
Multiple burner accounts, right? Like, I'm sorry, he may be an elite basketball player, but clearly at that time in his world, he wasn't ready to deal with social media in the way that he needed to. And he's got tens and hundreds of millions of dollars, let alone some, random kid who has nothing, comes from nothing, and is trying to seek validation from these people that he or she doesn't know. So, the Sydney McLaughlin video was interesting to me because Sid pretty much does everything right. I would challenge anybody to look at Sydney's career or her, or her social profile or the way she carries herself and find something to pick apart. Like, Sydney's an upstanding young woman, but the barrage of madness that she has to see on social media obviously takes its toll on her. So for me, I hope that parents can get a grip on this kind of stuff and evaluate their children and keep them off of it. I look at social media a lot like I would look at it, letting a little kid drive a car or something like that. There's no reason for little kids to have Instagrams and Facebooks and Twitter and all that other stuff. Like, they're not mentally equipped to deal with the pitfalls of that stuff. And so
not at all.
You just got to get, smarter about the way we engage. It's not going anywhere. It's going to be here to stay. We all got to get smarter about how we deal with it.
So speaking from the parental standpoint of what you just said, having teenage kids who are looking to get social media accounts and have started social media accounts without my knowledge and got caught, you know what I mean? But there's the peer pressure of it because not every parent sees it the same way. Yep. I personally do my best to give them the freedom to be autonomous, but also know, hey, like at any given point in time, I'm going to check your phone and check your accounts. And here's why, because I need to make sure you're safe. I need to see through an adult set of eyes, I'm not even going to say adult, a mature set of eyes, that the right things are happening, the right things are being said, the right things are being portrayed. And so I say that to say, one thing that I'm not going to say that we've forgotten about Sid, but definitely that we've been fortunate, and I use that word very meticulously, fortunate to see in Sid, is we've been able to see her grow up. Remember when she first came out and she was first coming out of high school and whatnot and just got to Kentucky, every picture was very profile, very made up, very staged, if you will. And now we're saying, in that video, she said, I don't even have makeup on. Oh, well, blah, blah, blah. And it's awesome to see that. It's awesome to see her come into her own. It's awesome to see the confidence grow. It's awesome to see herself settle into herself. And why I say this all is because it didn't happen overnight. And some people are expecting this to happen overnight for themselves. Like, I'm going to grow up. I'm going to figure it out. It's going to take one series of events. And it's not, and so I say that leading into Sha'Carri, right? Everyone's like, she needs to get better environment. She needs to get a better training group. She needs to get a better coach. She needs to get better PR. I've seen the gamut on the internet. It's going to take a minute because she's going to have to self-realize too, just like Sid did.
Sure. I agree with you on that. But see, it's like this, right? as adults, and all of these people we're discussing right now are adults. I hold adults to a different standard than I hold children to. Just because I'm 40 and these people are 21, they're adults. So when you have crossed into the adult world and you are a professional in your field, be it track and field, be it a teacher, whatever it is you're a professional in, like at some point you have to be accountable for the attention that you're seeking online. I have a lot of sympathy for teenagers and the pitfalls that they have to deal with the social media issue. But the grown people, like social media is like the ugliest mirror possible of society. It makes everybody tougher than they really are. A lot of keyboard warriors, a lot of people running their mouths that they would never have the thought to open their mouths in real life in front of people, right? And so if you jump into that world feet first and invite all of it to you, well, then you're going to have to be responsible for what comes your way. So for me, it's a little different for someone like a Sydney, or I saw some crazy internet commentary on Allison Felix one time. And I'm like, really? Allison don't say a word to nobody. Allison don't get into any kind of stuff like that. So you're just trolling because you're bored, because you're trying to make yourself feel better about some things that you could never do. That's different than a Kevin Durant going hard at people in secret and then getting caught and then wanting to be sensitive about it. So to me, it's like if you put the energy out there, you got to be ready to take what comes back to you.
Yeah, but like, okay, let's use Sha'Carri as a perfect example, right? So immediately following the trials, within 24 hours, her followers almost quadrupled, right? And then a month later, not even, but about a month later, she runs a race, gets throttled by the Jamaicans, and now there's 4 times as many people talking trash, right? And like that's how fast it changes for these people. And that's why we police social media so much for our children, because we know that can happen. As hot as you are right now, you will be twice as cold, because remember, negative press always sells more papers. I know I'm old, but it still holds the same, right? Negative press will always be more volatile and always be more lasting than positive. So if she got 4 times the followers for doing well, she probably got 10 times the haters for getting blasted. And so like, that's where I understand what you're saying, Clyde. Like, I don't disagree with you, but that's the fire that all of these young people need to realize that they're playing with when they're trying to get their clout up, when they're clout chasing. Because you can only be hot for a minute.
Right, but
you can be cold forever.
But let's be clear about, as it pertains to Sha'Carri, seriously, and I'm not saying this as a negative thing, it's just the reality of it, right? In how powerful is social media? It depends on who it is that's paying you the attention that you are seeking.
Mm-hmm.
Sha'Carri Richardson's internet clout quadrupled overnight because of one person, because Michelle Obama just so happened to be watching the Olympic trials. When Michelle Obama tweets about you, everybody wants to know who the hell you are. And
just imagine, right? If LeBron James had gone in on Sha'Carri, he didn't. But I'm just saying, how fast the same negative wave can happen.
Absolutely.
And so, like that's where this whole mental health thing comes in. It's just like, look, I'm just saying, you always got to be buyer beware when it comes to social media. It is definitely fleeting fancy.
And I want to kind of jump in here and say, like, it's just, this is not, the mental health issue is not all about social media. Social media definitely doesn't help it. There are other things in people's lives that cause this. I think awareness by parents, awareness by coaches, awareness by friends. When you see someone that's being different than they normally are, pay attention to it. Call
and
it
listen to them.
Exactly. I think that's, people put immense amounts of pressure on themselves sometimes. The pressure to succeed at anything. It could be just trying to be popular, trying to be athletic, trying to be academic, whatever that pressure is, it's real. And so I think for me, yes, social media is a problem. It's not going away, as Clyde said. But I think that when we talk about the mental health piece, man, I think it's about awareness of, if people paying attention, because generally when people have these issues, they're crying out for helping someone. And the key is to see that cry and listen to the cry and get them help for the cry, for me anyway.
Agreed. And, we're all coaches. And I know a lot of coaches watch our program here. Don't get it twisted. This isn't 20 years ago. You're more likely to figure out what's wrong with your kid or what's going on with your kid by paying attention to their social media than them coming into the office and telling you these days. That's
a fact.
the way it is. So if you're super old school and you don't understand it, and you better hire somebody that does, and you better pay attention to it, and you better have systems in place and protocols in place to really pay this stuff the attention that it deserves. Because if you're not, if it's all about X's and O's and how fast your kids run and how good their grades are, in today's world, I'm sorry, if you're missing the mental health piece of this, you're not gonna have a job very long.
And let me say this too, because there's a whole lot of this that goes on from coaches, from parents, from friends. Stop, making superheroes out of people. Stop going around saying so-and-so is going to do this and so-and-so is going to do that and making them big, larger than life, because when it doesn't happen, you're not the ones that have to deal with the backlash. You're an adult. And so they're going to get at you a little bit, but you're not the person whose name is plastered all over the place. So you can help your athletes in that standpoint too, by remaining humble and letting them grow into who they are and not putting this pressure on them to go out and do something phenomenal or even something good or something great. Let them grow slowly, let them be who they are, and don't put this pressure on them to be something that you want them to be.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. I mean, my mother, Gina Ryan, who watches this show, I couldn't tell you how she did this with me, but somehow she got me to be a relatively even-keeled person who can deal with things in real time, right? But even at the height of my athletic prowess in high school and in college, there might have been 50 people that gave a damn about what I was doing at any given moment. Maybe. I never had thousands and thousands of eyes on me. Never. And I would like to imagine that I could have dealt with it well, but maybe not. And so that, you have to, it's just a different level of empathy and understanding that our young people are needing these days, because they have so many more people in their business, whether they're trying to have it that way or not. It's just true. We all went to high school. We all saw or were aware of bullies in high school. Okay, the bully at your high school is one jerk. Now the bully in high school is 50,000 jerks. It's a different thing. It's a different level of torment that these people are dealing with.
Yeah.
There's a lot of spin-offs from this conversation, so I'm not going to open up one. I will make note of it, and we will come back to it.
You got time for one good one, too? You do one good spin-off.
Okay, one good spin-off. Name, image, and likeness. It's a new bully, because if you're not liked, you don't get anything.
Oh,
that is a fact.
Absolutely.
Right, and so you have athletes, high school athletes, who are signing these contracts for branding. And it's how are you a brand? You can't even do your own laundry correctly.
Well, to that point, I was watching the Track Girl Summer, one of their episodes recently, right? Tiana was on there, and her and Natasha Hastings were discussing how they felt in the moment where their brands decided that they were no longer of value. And these are professionals with real medals and actual accomplishments. And they struggled with the reality mentally and emotionally that their brands decided to take a pass on. Nike decided Allison Felix wasn't worth much of anything. back in 2017, right? This happens to decorated people. So to choose point, yeah, I'm coming out of high school and I'm the number one whatever in my area, and oops, I'm not actually worth anything. What is that really, how is that going to affect me? It used to be just about the scholarships. In our world, you know, the 50% kid versus the 80% kid, I assure you, they get to campus feeling the type of way. Well, now, not only are they on less scholarship, now brand X is paying them because of their social media profile. What are these kids going to be willing to do to get their likes up, to get their followers up, so they can make more dollars? Like, it's an extremely treacherous road.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, I chose the word bully for a reason. Like, they are literally people just pecking at them and picking and just pointing the good, the bad, the ugly. And it's, you know, when the brands, when the agents or the agencies find that one little thing to pick, they're never going to let it go, or they're going to have a hard time the student athlete's going to have a hard time letting it go and finding validation after that. And it's like, it's just like when a bully says that you're ugly or knock-kneed. You know, like, you can't let that go. You don't hear that. And when it's that 20-year reunion story and they come back and they're pretty or they're handsome, or, you know what I mean? And man, there is so much that can go into the mental health, and whether it's medical, psychological, prescribed, diagnosed, or environmentally induced. It's like all of you have said, it's not when we were growing up. So it's hard for our generation to say you have to toughen up, because that's not the answer anymore. So,
well, can I say this? You guys may have said it already when my screen was tripping, but there's a narrative out in the culture right now. You know, I'll sum it up by saying the kids today are soft, the kids today are weak, the kids today are whatever. Just look at it from the purview of what we all do for a living. We're seeing performances that we've never seen in the history of the world across the board, the professional level, at the collegiate level, at the high school level. And these young people are doing that in the midst of the most diabolical mental conditions that none of us ever lived through. The kids aren't softer. You're just not evolved to the issues yet. And we all should be living in a constant state of evolution. So before you criticize the mental weakness of the current generation of athletes, look in the mirror and figure out if you've really taken time to understand this. Because they're not weaker, it's just different.
That is incredibly well said.
How'd you get smarter when you went to San Jose State? Sheesh. Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
That's a good one. Shots fired.
JK. Completely switching lanes, going out to lane 7 from lane 1.
Lane 9.
You know, yeah, it is probably lane 9.
Maybe 10
on a special. We want to shift gears, and now that the dust has settled a little bit, and Sir Lucious has had his vacation that he's so eloquently flashed in all of our faces. I'm just kidding. I'm just jealous.
Every week she has to get one in.
I do.
Every week?
Salty because I want a vacation.
Listen, Lucious, this is what happened when you let them into the Power 5.
I know.
Wait, now the Power 5 shots start.
I mean, Power 4.5, whatever you want to call it.
So I have to,
like that one. I like that.
That was funny. I'm gonna have to go to the office and say that one out loud. Yeah. I have to tell you all the story of my induction into Power 5, because I literally had to laugh out loud. So in my induction to the Power 5, I was asked to go to the cross-country meet, our opening cross-country meet. So I did, graciously, because I've definitely done this before in prior programs. And so I know my role: grab splits, make sure food gets distributed okay, and make sure all bodies get back on the bus. Good. Well, we get there. There's no team tents, lightning and thunder, and rain. I'm ill-equipped, personally. I'm all running in the muggy, humid, swampy College Station, beautiful course. Don't let me get it twisted. Like, that course is beautiful. And then we had an incident in which we didn't leave College Station till midnight, didn't get home until 3. Yeah, and then in my rookie moments, I still show up to the office this morning.
Oh my God, what's wrong with you?
Welcome to the Power 5.
Yeah, exactly. I literally was like, oh man, this was not fun. But anyhow, that was my induction. That was my memorable story in 20 years. So
that's really funny.
Anyhow, we wanted to ask Sir Lucious to kind of give us some behind the scenes of coaching the Olympics, not the Olympics, because I mean, at this point, you know, Leslie Jones did a good job a few years ago in Rio. I thought it was really funny. I started watching Kevin Hart and Snoop recently with their thing. It's hilarious. I'm glad I watched it after, though, because I think I would have been not appreciative during the moments. But Sir Lucious, we just wanted to ask you just, I mean, not what goes into coaching the Olympic team, but kind of, you know, maybe what was different, were there any interesting moments? Were there any surprising moments for you?
I think the most surprising thing, honestly, Big League, is that people absolutely have no idea what the Olympic coach does. First of all, let me say that incredible honor. You know, I mean, can never belittle being the head Olympic coach. Was never a goal of mine. I always wanted to be a coach of Olympians, but as the head Olympic coach, it's an honor bestowed upon you for your hard work, for your success, whether it be at the collegiate level, at the international level, or a combination of them both. But honestly, folks, you don't coach anybody. That's not your job. It's not your gig. The number of people that think that as an Olympic coach, you're in charge of something, what you're in charge of, you know, someone referred to the Olympic coaching staff as glorified bag holders. That's a little, you know, but it's not far off, to be honest with you, right? Our job is to make sure people have what they need, is to make sure people get where they're supposed to go, make sure they know what times they're supposed to be, to get to the call room on time. Unless you have athletes that you are personally coaching, which I was blessed enough to have, just your role, you're a glorified babysitter, you know? Like, you know, I've heard coaches say, well, when I coached so-and-so on the Olympic team, no, you didn't. You know, like, I had nothing to do with Rod Benjamin. I gave him a hug. Maybe that helped. I don't know. I definitely had nothing to do with Ryan Krauser, right? As my man Lamar will tell you, you know, me and the shot put ain't getting along. You know, so we have to stop this rhetoric that, you know, as the head Olympic coach, you're responsible for people winning medals, because you're not. You know, what you're responsible for is to make sure there are no snafus, right? Like, and then you have this wonderful staff of people. You have your head managers, you have, you know, team managers, you know, Aretha Thurman, I almost said Aretha Franklin. Aretha did a phenomenal
our version of Aretha Franklin.
There you go. Yeah, right. You know, put some respect on that woman's name. But, you know, her and her staff do a phenomenal job. Mm-hmm. So this whole thing out there that if you make the Olympic team or the team staff, you don't coach anybody. It's not your job. And so that's the first thing I want to say. And then I think the other thing for me is like, okay, so we'll just briefly discuss the elephant in the room, right? Which is always the relay, right? There is a relay coach. There is a relay staff. That is their job, to coach the relay. Now, they're supposed to collaborate with the head coaches on who's on the relay, but the actual coaching of the relay is the relay staff. So this nonsense that the relay coaches were my assistant coaches, no. The relay coaches are the relay coaches, okay? So in the big scheme of things, I think those are the things people need to understand. Okay, it's an incredible honor, you know, and it's a badge that some people wear loudly, and I personally, I'm not that guy. But I think that those are the things I think I need people to understand. Like, you're an administrator at best. Okay. Your job is to make sure your staff, you know, the jumps coach, the sprint coach, the distance coach, the throws coach, they're overseeing and making sure the people in their event groups are getting where they're supposed to be, disseminating information. Okay. But basically, you spend a lot of time sitting around watching the track because you're not coaching anybody.
Sir Lucious,
Yes,
I know a lot of people a lot of my colleagues have asked me, but you're the one with the official creds and the gear here. If Coach X wants to get in to Olympic staff jobs or junior staff jobs, how does that process play itself out? How is one selected to be in those positions?
Okay. There is a application process, and you apply, and then you go. Then they get all the names together, and they go before a board of, like, I think it's 5 or 6 people, and those people, they make the decisions. Now, obviously, the better your resume is, the better chance you got to get on one of those teams. You know, and obviously, and let's just. It's the United States of America. Sometimes it's more who you know than what you know, or how good you are, right? So I think that for the people that want to get in, that's your avenue. You know, obviously you need to be successful. And it helps to know people. But understand, folks, it's a lot of long days, a lot of hot days. You ain't coach anybody.
It's also a lot of teams, and I don't think people really understand that. Like, I don't know the exact numbers, and I know that Sir Lucious does, so correct me. But you have to go through that process and end up on a junior or a tertiary national team. Right. And then you go into a pool of coaches who are eligible to be in a world championship staff. Right. And I believe you have to either be on 1 or 2 world championship staffs to be eligible for an Olympic staff, something like that.
I'm not sure about that.
It's at least one.
Because you're supposed to go, like, I think juniors and NACAC are on the same level. Right. And then you go to Worlds, and then you go to the Olympics, but you can't, like, I don't know if anybody just went right to be an Olympics on Olympic staff.
No,
you can't.
In the application, it clearly states that in order to be Olympic level worthy, you have had to have served on a lesser team at some point.
Right. Yeah. So if I'm not, I think you're right, Lamar, in that it's NACAC, juniors, and that level. Then it's Worlds, and then it's the Olympics. Because that was my path. I went NACAC, Worlds, Olympic assistant, Olympic head.
Right, and that's usually the deal too, is that you almost certainly have to go from Worlds to Olympic assistant to Olympic head. Usually. There are a few that have gone from Worlds to Olympic head. I think Irv Hunt went from an assistant.
I think Andrew Valman as well. I don't recall that Andrew was ever an Olympic assistant. He was a world assistant, and he went to Olympic head.
But for the most part, you're usually not eligible to be a Olympic head till it's at least your second Olympics. Usually, it's a process.
The one thing I do want to say, and Sir Lucious, you did say this, but I want to reiterate it because I don't think it gets lost very quickly amongst people who are applying for these positions, is when you're a coach on those teams, you're not coaching the team. You're not coaching the distance group. You're not coaching the jumps group. You literally are a director of that group because they bring their own coaches, and maybe that coach.
No, don't use the word director. That's a bad word.
You're leading the group because you're not even. No, that's not your name.
You're kind of you're just kind of. You're a helper. That's what
you're PAs. You know what it is? You're
the person who holds the rope that everybody else holds.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
You guys know my leadership style. It was be where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be. We're here to help. If you have issues, pick up the phone, call. Mm-hmm. I'm not I gave somebody this example the other day. I wanted to say something I wanted to encourage Trayvon Burmell. Before I did, I wouldn't ask permission from his coach, Raina Wright. Because it's not just because I'm the head coach, I can talk to whoever I want. That's Raina's athlete.
The funniest thing is, one of the most important things you do as a world or Olympic coach is be present just in case something goes on, because the athlete nor his or her personal coach can't file a protest.
Exactly.
The Olympic staff person has to do that. And I was obviously involved with one of those, right? And at the end of the day, like, that's when all of a sudden
you're very
not, you're super important.
Okay, I'll give you an example. Like the mixed relay semifinal, like I was the only one that noticed that she was sitting out of the zone. I was on the phone with Tim Weaver before she got around the first turn. I'm like, we're going to get DQ'd. You need to look into this right now. But then that's my role there, to pay attention to stuff like that. Is also, you know, your role as an Olympic or World Championship staff coach to be there for athletes. You know, I was asked by one athlete to just, hey, I just need you to be here with me while I'm warming up. So I sat there while they warmed up. You know, what you do. You know?
These positions are ultimately, from a coaching industry standpoint, these are lifetime achievement awards. These are respectful, you know, placements because you've been awesome at your real job.
There you go.
No one is expecting, and if you are, I'm
gonna tell you right now, I'm about to be with Big League. You went to San Jose State. You just got a little smart on yourself.
I mean, right?
Yeah,
evidently,
brushing it tonight.
Brains came with the big chair, evidently.
He's just letting him out because he's in the big chair now. That's what it is.
Oh, that's what it is. Don't want to outshine the boss. That makes sense.
Yeah. But no, I think that, you know, Big League, and back to your question, you know, that's the thing that people have to get a grasp on here. Mm-hmm. You know, the number of people out there in cyber world that think that, you know, I was coaching, you know, the Olympic team, coaching Grant Holloway, Ariane Knighton, Taylor Manson. That's it. Nobody else. You know,
well, that's it. That's it on the U.S. team.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. That's all we're talking about here, sir. It's the U.S.
So can we get into that, because it is unique, and I mean, we know this stuff happens, but again, the audience. So can you give us just a little tidbit of how, I don't know, awkward it is to be Team USA staff for sure, but also responsible for the Olympic fortunes of Country X's athlete, because you are your actual coach. When
Country X's athlete, you know, is responsible for helping pay my bills, it's not a conflict of interest at all for me. You know, I did my job, and I did my job well with USA, but to say I can't talk to, or say I can't help, you know, somebody that I helped get there, nobody ever said that to me. So, but it wasn't awkward at all because I was doing my job for Team USA.
Yeah.
That's right. Oh, and one last thing before I know we're moving on to something else. For the audience, the Olympic staff coaches are unpaid.
Zero.
They're doing it for free.
Exactly. Volunteer position.
So the only person making money is the relay staff. And that's another issue.
And again, the relay staff are not my assistant. I'm not in charge of those cats.
Right.
Nothing to do with that.
That was perfectly petty placed. That was perfect.
Yeah. But see, and at the end of the day, I think that's what people need to understand. You know, the people that are volunteering their time, they're like, there was one day I was out of the track for 19 hours, you know, off and on all day, just going. You know, they're really long days, and the end result is wonderful. To watch these young people chase their dreams, and a lot of them achieve them, is an incredible thing. But we're not there coaching anybody. That's not our gig. You know, so I appreciate all the people that, man, you did a phenomenal job in Tokyo. The team did well. All I did was encourage. I had the pom-poms out. I was getting it done.
You know, it's funny, really quick, because I know we are moving on. But what's funny is some of the best coaching jobs that you guys do and did in the Olympics are in scenarios that didn't go well. Right? They're behind the scenes stuff. Like, people don't understand, like, listen, being an Olympian is absolutely awesome, but in the Olympics, it's a track meet. And when you go and get your head busted, when you first walk off the track, there is nothing that feels worse.
And that's where the staff comes into play.
And that's where the staff do a phenomenal job of reminding those young people as they walk off. I know right now everything sucks, but remember, you are truly elite because you're here.
Yeah, remember the Rod Benjamin
perspective.
we had, you have to get him back on his feet. Now his coaches were there, but we helped, this, and trust me, the fiasco that was the 4x1 could have bled into the rest of the team and became bad. Because you walk back there in the warm-up area and it's just like somebody died. So then this is where I think my leadership skills help, because I walk over to them and I say to them, look, hey, it's over. It's done with. I ain't gonna say who I called out. It got screwed up, right? But at the end of the day, what I need you guys to do is get up off this ground and support the ladies, because they have to come out here tomorrow and get after it. And that's what I need y'all to do. And don't stop walking around like somebody died because you did. That's what we're there to do, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Guide.
Well, you guys did a great job.
Yes. Yes. And thank you. I'm sure what I like that we've done and that we're doing is we're bringing to light all the speculative statements and moments and actually putting a little bit of concrete to them. We're not solidifying them, but we're making them more truthful. There's no more fallacy. There's no speculation. There's no more, well, I heard. Well, I mean, we heard, but it's from the person.
So if I gave you $1 for every time somebody has said to me, well, I heard this is what happened, I promise you could probably retire next year. I promise you. It's horrible. Because and nobody knows. Yeah. And nobody knows. And again,
no, you know who knows? They know. The ubiquitous they know.
Yeah. But again, an incredible honor. Everybody that was there on the men's staff, the women's staff, we worked together. There wasn't, any separatism there. Everybody worked really hard together to make sure everybody had what they needed. And, it was one of the most fun staffs I've ever been around. And awesome. Glad I checked that box, though.
Yeah. So you're saying there's no solutions for 2024?
Yeah, I plan to be in Paris in 2024. But I doubt very seriously I'll be on that staff.
And you will be.
Right? You'll be the relay coach.
You just solidified your spot.
Yeah.
All right.
Relay coach 2024. What?
Oh my God.
So you know what? Ohana, don't start with me tonight.
Ohana.
Yeah. Well, speaking of, we are going to transition into rapid fire. We've got a little bit of an abbreviated show tonight because here we are approaching track season. So we will give it quite a tribute by going fast. Mr. Huffins, are you ready to be in line of rapid fire, sir?
I am.
All right. You might want to put that seatbelt on, sir. Stupid. Anyways, okay. What was the first thing that you enjoyed after your first Olympics?
Ooh, a 20-piece nuggets of McDonald's and an ice cream cone from McDonald's. Because I never eat that. I never eat that crap ever.
That's funny.
It was literally, the decathlon goes for like 17 hours per day. So after the games and drug testing, the McDonald's in the village is literally the only food that I could eat. So
got it.
And it's 24/7. So yeah.
Exactly. That's it.
It's a setup. I swear that's a setup.
It is.
Yes.
Because it's in your title for today. What does Ohana mean to you? We obviously know the definition. It means family, but what does Ohana mean to you?
So what I like about Ohana is that it's not defined by bloodlines. So Ohana is anybody that you would, not take a bullet for, but take a bullet for, like whoever you consider to be family, whoever considers you family, that's your Ohana.
Got it. I like it. Speaking of Ohana and its origins, Spam Masubi, smash or pass?
Smash.
Why'd you take so long for such an emphatic smash?
I had to put together smash or pass, but which one was good?
Oh my goodness. What was your first, thank you, Clyde, thank you. What was your first social media account?
Facebook, and I am pretty sure that I was on Facebook 5 years after everyone I know.
That's funny.
I'm calling.
Like I was like,
I'm calling.
I was probably one of.
I feel.
Oh no, seriously.
I feel like Lamar is the type to have had like a Black Planet page or something.
I promise to God I didn't. The first social media account I had was Facebook, and I got Facebook when I went to Oklahoma because it became necessary for recruiting. So that's like 2012, 2011.
So funny. That's so funny. So many comments. So many comments.
True story. We've never been on Black Planet one time in my life.
What is the most played game on your phone?
Oh my God. I'm about to tell the whole world what a nerd I am. Cribbage.
I'm going to move on to...
I like to count, evidently.
Air conditioning or windows open?
Air conditioning, because windows open is too loud.
Got it. Movie popcorn with M&Ms or nah?
Nah.
What?
Butter and salt.
Are you serious?
Homie. Butter
All three of you are
salt.
shaking your head.
Why would you mix popcorn and M&Ms?
Right.
It's phenomenal.
Butter and salt. Next.
See, I'm praying for you right now.
I mean, yeah.
See, you and I used to be cool, but you've been picking on me for like a month.
Damn M&Ms and some popcorn. Next.
Exactly. Yeah, please next. Yes.
That is actually my last question, so I'll save myself on that one.
It
should have been this question.
I love it. I love it. Well, as usual, we will close out our conversations with Heartbeat Props. This is where we'd like to recognize some people who are presently with us so that they can hear us, thank them, recognize them, and just show them the appreciation that they deserve. Is there anybody jumping out of their seats to show recognition today? Oh, Mr. Ray.
I want to give my props out to somebody who is very young, incredibly talented, and I have learned far stronger than I ever was at her age. I want to give my heartbeat props to one Sydney McLaughlin, because there are so many more layers to that young lady than I ever knew there were. And I found those out over the last 2 or 3 years. And if anybody wants to know what strength looks like, there are many out there, but just do a deep dive into all that Sid McLaughlin is, was, and I believe will be, and you will get to see what strength looks like.
Yeah, man. I'll go next. Mine is very simple and very brief. I'm going to give my heartbeat props to my mom. I mean, she's always been the backbone and the strength of our family. And those of you who know me well, she's been struggling with some health issues and has had a hard time even standing up. And she actually took a few steps yesterday and getting herself back walking again.
That's awesome.
Very, very proud of her.
That's because she's not an OG. She's an original G.
Okay, there you go. So heartbeat props to my mom. Proud of you, Mom. Keep up the great work.
Nice.
I'll go next. Let you close it out. Mine is heartbeat props for tonight is kind of in a different direction altogether. Everybody knows in my extra life, I'm a political junkie. And so my heartbeat props tonight go out to the citizens of Texas. I'm not really sure what's going on down there, but right now in Texas, any random adult can walk around with an open carry firearm, and women have no reproductive rights whatsoever. It's tough to be a citizen of Texas right now. And, I'm not really sure, ultimately what to say about all of that. It's really strange to sit back from a distant land and watch all of this play out in real time.
You mean it's bad to be able to carry a firearm without a background check of any kind? That's bad?
It's probably a bad idea. And for the record, let's be clear, according to the new law on women's reproductive rights, you can use that firearm to follow people around that you think are participating in women's reproductive rights. It's madness.
That is madness.
So, listen, I have friends and you know, family members and colleagues who live down there right now. And honestly, a lot of people are freaking out, and rightfully so. And you know, all I can tell you is the solution to these problems is the same as it always is: register to vote, get involved in your local politics, because your local politics are driving this madness right now. Good luck.
Seriously.
Thanks, Debbie Downer. That was awesome.
That's why I let you go last. You know, I didn't want that to be the last word of the day.
Well,
I need a drink after that one.
You know, let's see what's in the cup.
I mean, I'll say this.
Smart water for me.
Being a new citizen of Texas, the conversation doesn't vary from what Clyde just said. And, you know, there are different things and obviously different thoughts, and populations are saying different things. But it is a concern. I understand that that's the law that passed, but it is a grave concern here. So, like you said, get out there and vote if you don't like what has been passed. And, you know, I understand that the governor doesn't necessarily see it the same way. And that's why if you want a chance, you got to vote. You know, I learned that very late, but if you want a chance, you can't complain if you don't do your part. So with that being said, my heartbeat props go similar to Sir Lucious, but not the same, to my dad. I don't talk about him often. He and I grew a relationship later on in my life. And so a lot of this is new for me, but bless his heart for riding the ride with me in regards to, what do you do? Why are you moving? Why are you moving there? Are you sure? And obviously I'm somewhat of a grown person at this point, but he summed it up perfectly the other night. He's like, all right, we'll get some rest and keep doing what you do. And I think that's like the first time I ever heard my dad like have support and faith in me. So I'm like, okay, got it. We're good. So thanks. I call my dad Daddy. Sorry, I know I'm grown. Thanks, Daddy, for what you do, for being there no matter what. So with all of that said, nice little quick jab for everybody for this week. But as everyone, if you haven't started your weeks, your countable weeks already, I'm sure you're all getting started this next week here. So to all the coaches, let's see how much of coaching shape we're in. We'll find out very quickly. I know. Oh my gosh. But we'll do a check-in next week, and it's gonna be a little rough. But other than that, to all the athletes returning, and if you've just returned, keep working, get that mind right, get that mind strong, get that heart strong, come back and do it even better than we did it last year. And for everybody else, just take one day at a time. Wake up, do your deal, go to bed, rinse and repeat. It's what we got to keep doing from here on out. So other than that, gentlemen, have a great evening, and we will see each other soon. Have a good weekend.
Hey.
When the lights come on, the road just get to running. When the lights come on, opponents smash the plumbing. Heard you like it warm, hot knife the butter. Truth pin them hard, knock them off that rebuttal. Tsunami, tidal wave to your puddle. Tough love, punch you in the arms, little brothers. Athletics LLC, there's no others. Track and field's place and we'll pill to go further. Hey, Wile E. Coyote, it's road runners. Feels like you know us, you've been with us the whole summer. If not for this quarantine, these four corners wouldn't be here, but we here, so start learning. You gotta earn your stripes, gotta get your scars. Show you how to fight, but show us who you are. You lack experience, but still you wanna talk. And who is actually talking to you? Circle's kinda small. Heads prevail when the backbone's strong. Gotta keep it coming, no, it won't last long. Pass and fail, then sell the sad song. And if you don't check yourself, then that's wrong. Just trying to give you the real that you asked for. So why you keep cutting us off to ask more? We put it in slow-mo, but you fast forward. Athletics LLC, the task force.